Hi everyone. This tutorial is going to explain how to create the circular part of the circular logos, including adjusting the thickness, applying layer effects, and removing parts of the circle if you need to do that. So just like last time, we're going to set up our new guide layout so that there's 2 columns and 2 rows, which will give us the center of our image. We're going to go down to the same tool, which is the ellipse tool. But there's an important thing we have to change because we're not creating a path this time. We want to create a shape. So shapes have some different options at the top. There's something called fill, and if you click on that, you'll see a little window that gives you a whole bunch of color options. Whatever you pick here is going to be inside the circle when you draw it. If you don't want anything to be inside the circle, you select the option with the red slash for no color. So the box next to it is called stroke. It'll give you the exact same color picking window, but this time you're picking the color of the outline or stroke of the shape. If you went through the last tutorial, you should still have circle and from center checked, but if they're not checked for some reason, just do that now. So now you're going to line your cursor up with the center of the image, click and draw out a circle. It'll automatically create a new layer for you. When you let go, you can see that it has a ring around it. That's the kind of reddish brown color that we selected. The option on the menu bar with the number is how thick that outline of the circle is. So you can bump that up if you want a much thicker line. You can change the style of the line too. Instead of a solid line, you could have something that's dashed or dotted or a double line. There's lots of options there. Now, as long as you're still on the ellipse tool and you have that layer selected, you can continue to change those options, and the changes will happen in real time. So we can easily go back and decide we want to fill the center of the circle with a new color, or you could change the size of the outline. Any of those options can still be adjusted. If you want to change the size of the circle, you can grab one of the control points and drag, but that can deform your circle. If you hold down the Shift key, that will make sure that the shape stays a perfect circle, but now it's not centered. You need to hold down both the Shift and the Alt key in order for the circle to stay in the center and be a perfect circle. But you only have to worry about that if you need to resize it. So just to see this in practice, let's go through the steps you'd need to do to create the circle I gave to you in the other tutorial. So we'll keep the same shape. We'll turn off the color in the center, and we'll change the stroke color to the color from the other image. Now, if you click the little top right box, you'll get your usual color picker window, and that will allow you to sample colors directly from other images. Now, for some reason with shapes, it'll give you a little error pop up, but just ignore that. It actually works fine. And then I'll just match the size of the original as best I can. But the original circle, if you notice, isn't just one circle. It's got these 2 little white thin circles as well. So we're going to create a new layer and draw separate circles. So make sure you put the cursor in the center again, drag out a circle, and then we're going to change that color to white, and we're going to change the size to something that looks about the same as the original image. Sometimes the path circle gets in the way of the one you're trying to see, so just select the background layer and it'll hide those things temporarily. Now, since the other white circle is the same color and size, I'm just going to duplicate the first circle, either right click and duplicate or just drag it down to the new layer and it'll make a copy. And then I'll just change the size, holding down Shift and Alt until it matches the original. So that doesn't look too bad, but let's make it look even more like the original. First, we'll put it on a gray background. Go down to the adjustment layer option, pick solid color, and then select the gray from the original. Now, if you look closely at the red circle in the original, you can see it actually is casting a shadow. So we'll double click on our red circle layer to bring up our layer options. And then we can apply a drop shadow. And you know all the settings from the previous tutorials on advanced titles. If you look really closely at the original though, you can see it doesn't just have a drop shadow. It actually has a little bit of highlight on one edge and a little bit of shadow on the other, which is created by the embossed effect. So we're going to add an emboss effect to this as well. I'm not going to worry about matching it exactly, but you can see how close we get in a pretty short amount of time. Okay, so the last tip I'm going to show you is how to remove part of the circle, which is often done when a title is kind of overlapping. First of all, you're going to want to take all the layers that are part of the circle, highlight each one of them by holding Control, and then putting them into a single group. Then you're going to go down to the icon at the bottom that looks like a square with a hole in it and click that. It's going to add a little white box next to group 1. This is something called a layer mask. We're going to get into what those are in more detail later. But for now, all you need to know is that anytime you paint black on a layer mask, it works like an eraser. It hides whatever's behind it. But it's not gone permanently. If you go back and paint white on it again, it comes back. So on your layer mask, all you need to do is go up to the rectangular selection tool, draw out a rectangle over top of the part of the circle you want to hide, and fill it with black. That will hide all the parts of the circle that are in that group. And if you ever change your mind, you can always move that rectangle or just fill it with white and bring the whole circle back. So this can be used to erase a strip, or you can cut your entire circle in half if you like. Okay, I think that's everything you need to know to make circles. The next video will explain how to create shapes and icons inside those circles.